take a drink each time an FBI agent does something Wilson Fisk asked him to do because the plot need to go further. You will get drunk fast. This is Multi-Topic Talk. Welcome to this new overview. Today I will cover the weakest season of Daredevil. Remember this show that was good before Disney took everything Marvel? I remember this show. This was a great show, despite a disappointing third season. I must admit, I rolled my eye too many times watching this. Nadeem knows he does something wrong, but yet he still do it because the story need him to be with Wilson Fisk until the very end when he realized he was wrong. And when he realized his child will look into him as just an asset for one of the biggest murder in Hell's Kitchen history. This season has a lot of good. This is why I think I will still rewatch it in the future, hoping to roll less my eyes because I will be used to the poor writing of this season. And this is funny because if I remember correctly, now I haven't done any deep research. I based what I will say on the credit in the intro. Basically, Jeff Loeb um, is a guy that was involved in season 1 and 2, but in season 3, several writers had credit in the intro. And I think this is the reason why the storytelling is weak here in this season. Now, as I said, the teams are really good, and there's a lot of good in the season. It's just very sad that now Wilson Fisk does whatever he wants because the plot wants him to do whatever he wants until the very, very end, like the last 2 episodes. But even there, you get protection from everyone. It's kind of ridiculous, this trope. Everyone is corrupt. He has something on everyone, and nobody in the FBI has the balls to stand up and do the right thing until Nadine in the last episode, or I should say, in the last 2 episodes. And this bothers me a lot. This bothers me a lot. I will tell a story about a big protest we had here in Canada. By the end of January and during February 2022, we still had mask mandate, vaccination mandate, everything. The truckers, they created the convoys of freedom, the freedom convoy. I forgot how to say the name properly. Regardless, there were police on site and they decided to side with the trucker. So guess what? The GRC, basically the Quebecer FBI, if we can call it that way, decided to step up because there were conflict of interest with the police from Ottawa. So GRC took over and they solved everything because there were no attachments. Now, if I mention this, I want to draw a parallel. Don't you see there's someone in the FBI that see a conflict of interest? I'm wondering if the FBI is this stupid to not realize the FBI itself has been turned. How do you deal with an FBI that has been turned? There surely is some kind of backup plan, otherwise, the FBI is ridiculous. Maybe the army is like above FBI. I really don't know if there are contingency plans, but they should be. The fact that Fisk is controlling the FBI this well without any trouble, and he basically gets clean. He's no more a criminal by the end of the season. It makes no sense for me. Now, I will mention other issues in the writing. Sometimes people are just there because they need to be there. Matt Murdock teleported to save Karen Page in the church. He was in the hotel, and then next scene is in the church, saving everyone at the right time. Great, right? Now, another big issue for me with this season, Pointdexter as a character is great. He is a great villain, but I doubt he could be FBI material. I doubt it could be FBI material because he's a psycho. It's crystal clear. He is very dangerous. He has a troubled past. Don't you think if you're about to work for the FBI, don't you think there are tests? They investigate you deeply to find dirt on you? Not in this show. You want to be FBI? Oh, here's your badge, here is your gun, you start tomorrow. Now, another issue with Poindexter, he was fired, but then because Wilson Fisk says so, Poindexter is suddenly back at work and he gets his job back. It's ridiculous. This makes no sense. They made it to make the story work. And this is sad because when you look back to season 1 and 2, we had plot convenience here and there. We have plot armor here and there. But said plot convenience and plot armor were not bleeding the show. And season 3 is bleeding of plot convenience and poor writing. This makes me so sad. With my issues out of the way, let's speak about what was great about this season. I think what I like the most about this season is the darker tone. This is hands down the darkest season of the show. Matt Murdock is a broken individual and he lost faith. Now, I do not believe in God, I'm not Catholic, I don't care about religion. However, I think within this show it's well depicted, and I like the religion in the show, the way the religion affect each character. Father Paul, Mother Maggie, Matt himself. Even as a non-believer, I can relate to Matt because religion in season 1 and 2 and its past as well was some kind of compass to know what's right, what's wrong. And he lost faith. And he decided he would play judge and jury. This is impressive. During that season, Matt is a different character for good reason. He almost died. A building fell on him. And when the season picks up, he is so broken, even physically, not only mentally, but physically as well, that his sense are no more as great as before. Now, lucky enough, he heals. So at some point, he recovers his hearing, his sense of smell. But it took him 2 episodes, 3 episodes. But these 2 or 3 episodes, he he had a lot of suffering. He had a lot of pain, and maybe it's a few weeks, maybe it's a few months. The time during that show is not crystal clear. We don't have a full grasp on dates or everything, but I think the entire season is maybe a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months. I really don't know how long in the timeline this show lasts, but we can tell having damaged sense broke him. He wanted to die during episode 1, and this is really sad. And we also get a deeply flawed character as well within Matt. Matt pushed away everyone, and Foggy and Karen are two amazing friends. I wish I had that kind of friend in real life. I do have friends, but if I would be like Matt, I don't think they would stick around. But I think Foggy and Karen are still human beings despite being characters of fiction. I can see some people being like Foggy and Karen, and this is very touching. And at first, at the start, Karen wasn't on board. She was angry at Matt, and after speaking to Mother Maggie, after speaking to Foggy, after speaking to the glasses guy, she slowly changed and she decides to give a second chance to Matt, even if Matt doesn't want friends anymore at the start of the season at least. Matt Murdock is dead. Matt Murdock fully became Daredevil. Now in season 2, Daredevil was Matt's obsession, but Matt was still there. In season 3, Matt was no more. And this is what is impressive. Usually in shows, people are not able to really shake the world around and make a character being in character but evolving into something else. I know some shows that do that. Arrow is a great example, season 1, 2, and then even 3 at some extent. Now 4 was pretty disgusting, but 5 is another character. He evolves over the year, and season 7 was peak Arrow, and yeah, like Daredevil is well written as a show, for the characters at least, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of issues about the story. Despite having a very interesting story, I felt like it was a watered down version of season 1. I say what watered down because it's not as well written. It's deeply flawed. Now, let's go back to what I like about this season. I think we have really good focus on Foggy and Karen backstory, or we should say Karen past and Foggy life in general. We get to meet Foggy family. Who is he in this world? And this is very interesting. I There's a lot to praise in the show, despite the mistakes. Even if I find weird the fact that Pointdexter is able to be FBI despite his past, I think Pointdexter is a great villain. Now, I'm not really into comics, but I do think Pointdexter should be Bullseye, and I say that only because of the bad movies we had in 2003, I think, with Ben Affleck. And yeah, I think it was Bullseye. It surely acts like Bullseye. But as Bullseye, great villain. Good backstory and good fall into the dark side with Julie, with everything going on in his life, Wilson Fisk manipulating him, and him ending up wanting to kill Fisk because he realized Fisk betrayed him. I enjoyed a lot. The built-in fight, Matt versus um, Bullseye, was great. Despite plot armor saving Matt, I still think this is one of the best fight ever. Well done, well made. Despite plot armor, I think how Matt was using stuff to block and dodging, and how like end to end Matt was crushing the guy, and the only reason why Bulleye survived is skills with projectiles and other stuff, which is really interesting to see. And now let's speak about something else. The hospital scene. When there's a big fight that breaks out, I must speak about detail and what is great about this scene. Just before a fight breakout, the guy in the guy nurse. I don't know if there's a male name for nurse. Regardless, the guy nurse had a syringe and he wanted to stab Matt with the syringe. Matt was able to stop the guy and beat down the guy. Now, later on, when the fight comes back to the room where there is a syringe, Matt used the syringe on one of the guard. So this means that object didn't disappear in between scenes. They remembered there's a syringe there. This is great. Not every show does that kind of stuff. Sometimes they're like, oh, it's the action sequence, so we disregard anything that happened before, or we forget what happened before, but not in this scene. And this is proof that despite the flaws in the writing, there are some places where it shines. Now, speaking about fight choreography and battle, the last fight between Pointdexter, Matt, and Wilson Fisk, the three-way fight was great. One of the best fights I've seen on TV. Top 5, easy. Well done. I liked it so much. And now they could have made that twist that Matt truly go further into killing Wilson Fisk. And I think the setup and the writing would agree with such choice and such ending. Now, I still like the ending with Matt not killing Wilson Fisk. Because, first of all, this goes back to something Maggie says. Make sure to not become the monster. So these words, they entered in Matt's mind, and I think this is the only explanation why Wilson Fisk is still alive. And here again, the way Matt is speaking to Wilson Fisk, he won, and this is great. And I think this is also the point where fate came back to Matt, making him coming back into his former self. He used to believe in the system. During that season, Matt stopped believing in God or the system of justice. At the end of the season, I think his fate has been restored within the system and religion in general, making Matt again. Now, this will sound weird, but I don't want a fourth season. I just don't. Because I feel like the 3 seasons we had were perfect. Season 1, good origin story. Season 2, good follow-up and a very strong villain that challenged the main hero into what he believes should be done. Punisher telling, I finished the job and you don't. And Matt wondering if he should be like the Punisher. In season 3, Matt is no more, and only the devil of Hell's Kitchen is around. Now, I am very happy this season they fixed Karen. I didn't like at all Karen in Defenders, but in season 3, she was perfect. She was a good friend. She didn't like Matt going out, but she understood and she felt like Karen again. Now, you can see this segment as part of a conclusion or prediction for the future of Daredevil. I am worried about it. Disney took the rights of almost everything Marvel except the Hulk, and they don't care about the Hulk because they prefer their female counterpart. Now, I can predict if Disney Marvel doesn't change the way they do things, in the next Daredevil, Matt Murdock won't be a Catholic anymore. I can tell it will be family friendly instead of the dark and interesting Daredevil we had over Netflix. Now, do you need Daredevil to be mature TV? I think you need to. Now, I know comics are for pretty much everyone, and probably, no, I don't know about the Daredevil comics, but I'm guessing maybe the Daredevil comics were for teenager or everyone basically, so they are more family friendly than the show. But I do think it's the perfect formula for Daredevil. Daredevil is one of my favorite show of all time, and if Disney Marvel doesn't change its way and will make it family friendly, I know I won't be happy, and I know a lot of fans of Netflix Daredevil series will see through Disney game and won't like it. Now, some people see something with the IP they like, they will just clap and be happy. I'm not one of them, but I know there's a lot of majority in it. This is why people still go to theater with bad Marvel flicks in the last few years. Endgame was the end of Marvel, in my own opinion. It only went downhill after Endgame. Now, I did like a lot Far From Home Spider-Man, and I haven't seen yet No Way Home, but I've seen reviews, I've seen people, so I know what is going on in the movie. Maybe I will watch it. I really don't know, and I don't care to be honest. Daredevil should be Catholic. He should believe in God. Now, I don't believe in God. It's it's just not me, but it's Matt Murdock. It's part of his character, and religion is the reason why he doesn't kill. Religion is also the reason why Daredevil forgive and think people can change. Now, at some point in season 3 of Daredevil, he asked Maggie if she thought people were changing. And yes, she thought people could change, but Amy didn't thought so. Fun fact, by the end of the season, he realized maybe he was wrong. Now, what made Daredevil so good is the fact that it's a mature show with deeper themes, human character. There's no strong female character. We have only strong character that happen to be female or strong character that happen to be male. In both cases, the cast had good material. Disney Marvel cannot do good material. Now, if they change their way before Daredevil TV show comes in, maybe the show will be decent. But I have no expectation. I don't think they can make it right. They will make it family friendly. And I think by making something family friendly, you take away the darkness you can have in your show. Wilson Fisk was an amazing villain in season 1. Spoiler, he kills someone with the door of a car. In Family Friendly, you don't see that kind of stuff. They will only say, oh yeah, this happened. Or maybe they won't. Disney Marvel will probably make Karen Page into another vigilante. She didn't need kung fu. She didn't need to know how to fight to be a strong character. She is one of the best characters in the series. She's the art of the show. She doesn't know kung fu. She is just a very smart character that likes her friend. She can get emotional. She look like a female. She doesn't have some weird haircut because beauty is a sin for Disney Marvel. Now, with that being said, I have no expectation for Marvel to do something right with Daredevil. And I think I will just rewatch Netflix version because this was peak Daredevil. I hope guys enjoyed. A like, comment, and subscribe. We will see each other in future video. Have a great day. Just like any other past reviews over my channel, we will read the audience comments on Rotten Tomato to see if I am crazy, if I am the only one that thinks season 3 of the show was the weakest. And as usual, we will start by reading my own comment. This is funny. You know why? I forgot to mention the score I would give to this season would be 8.5 out of 10. And this is funny because here we are. 84 audience score. So this means the audience in general is around where I am in terms of did they enjoy the season. So now let's read my comments. Here we are. Season 3 was always a blur for me since I remember watching said third season only once when it first came out. The disappointment linked to the cancellation of the show may be the biggest reason on why I didn't really rewatch the season. After my most recent watch, I realized how amazing the team and the action was. I also realized how this season is filled of small issues that stack up, making the writing of the story deeply flawed and weak. Let's start with the flaws. In one of the episode, the one where Pointdexter attacked the church to kill Karen, Matt Murdock teleport from the hotel to the church to arrive at the right moment to save everyone. Either the editing was bad or they made him teleport for the plot to work. In the final product, Fisk was in a car. He had time to speak with his subordinates, and he had time to come back at the hotel before Matt left the hotel. Plot armor is also really high in many scenes. In one of the scenes, Poindexter could have killed Matt at the built-in, but yet he doesn't. A lot of plot convenience are left and right in the show. The right corrupt cop is always at the right place and the right moment. The show is bleeding of plot convenience. Despite being clearly crazy and having a dark past, Poindexter really got a job at the FBI. To enter GRC in Canada, we have tests that evaluate all personality in our past to enter um, our personality and our past to enter GRC. If the test fail and we don't fit, we don't get the job. I'm guessing FBI is doing the same since they have the same job as JRC. I don't think Pointdexter would have passed. He was clearly a psychopath and only learned how to show empathy. He didn't add any that came naturally. The first scene is with a plot convenience. When Matt left the building by the tunnel, taxi just showed up and picked him up. It could have been a police car instead, and season 3 wouldn't have happened. Luck saved Matt. To make the story work, to make the story work, they needed to make Wilson Fisk much stronger than he should be. Having a dirt on everyone, his funds were also depleted because of all the money he spent in jail. Where all of his money coming from? Another big plot convenience. Matt waking up at the right time while he was in a taxi that was heading toward a lake. Another plot armor. Poindexter survived a very violent beatdown in the church, and the beatdown was followed by a fall from an entire floor. Yet he was able to leave the place. Outside of that, there's a lot of good things in the show third season. The team were really strong. Matt is at his lowest point in his life when the show pick up. He is a broken human that lost his faith toward God. And the writing and the acting depicted that very well through the show. Well written dialogue and character traits. Matt thought Matt Murdock needed to die to let the devil of Hell's Kitchen take over his body so he can save his city. Losing faith changed Matt into something he wasn't meant to be. Losing faith almost pushed him into killing a man, is one rule he always had. Despite my dislikes towards how powerful they made Wilson Fisk as a character, he was still well written and the acting was on point. The Poindexter centric episode was great despite my dislike toward him being allowed to enter FBI. Now let's keep going. Some of the quotes are amazing and well placed into the dialogues and exchange between characters. Fight choreography is always amazing in the show. The fight between Matt Fisk and Poindexter was amazing. The street firefights in episode 12 was great. A lot of scenes were emotional. Learning more about Foggy and Karen Pass was great. Learning how to forgive is another great theme. The pacing of the show is great. The characters all have character growth during the season. This season was clearly the darkest and the most heavy season the show had, which give a lot of value in the rewatch. Detective Maroney is as great as any previous season. Despite me hating a lot how everyone followed Fisk out of fear, I still think his character arc was well done and a great parallel to Matt Murdock's father. So, um, right now we speak about Nadim. Nadim is a great parallel to Matt Murdock's father. Even a stupid character can have a great arc after all. Foggy running for DA was great. The plot twists were usually great. Father Paul dying for someone else was in character and served the story well. Karen and Foggy both trying to bring back Mac was amazing and the ending felt earned. Matt as a character felt very different than any other season. He was slowly becoming like Stick. By taking away the cliffhanger of the season, we get a great final season since Matt is back and the future seemed better for all characters, leaving no hanging plot threads. Well deserved 8.5 out of 10. Here are other people comments. So, this one is weird. Venom carries, Venom carries. 5 stars, but no explanation. I guess it's fine. I've got no word. Completely speechless. Best series ever made in the world. Now I can see where you are coming from. Definitely surpassed season 2. Probably stand side by side with season 3. Hmm. I don't think so, but everyone has their own taste. I think the biggest issue with this show is the writing. The writing in this season, when we speak about the story, is really weak. But the writing of the character is on point. So I do think the writing of the character kind of redeemed the show. Some show like have bad story but good character. This is a good example. Other series have good story but bad character. Um, I guess The Flash is one example. The character are kind of all bad, but the story is no. Actually, Flash became really bad. But anyway, let's keep going. So, my favorite season of the whole show. I love all the first 2 episodes. Show how burned out Matt is. I love Kingpin the most in this season. In this season, it feels more like a master planner that an untouchable mafia boss like in season 1, which I prefer. It also has a lot of tension. I really like Agent Nadim, and then it's Bullseye, who is the biggest surprise for me. The entire show for me, I didn't expect to love him as much as I did. I love it. So about Nadim, I really don't like what they did with him. He was really stupid, and even when he realized it was wrong what he was doing, it took so many pep talks to really turn and do the right thing, which is weird for someone that has a family. Can't wait to see next season in MCU. Oh my! Oh, please, MCU, stay away from Daredevil. I know there are talks about making a Daredevil show. It will be terrible. I don't want that. They will make it family friendly. It won't be heavy. It will be lightweight. It will be bad. It will be poorly written by people that don't know how to write story or character. So even if the story of this season is kind of weak, you can forgive it because the character are well written and they make sense outside of Nadim. Um, yeah, let's keep reading other comments. I just don't want Disney to touch this property, but they will. You know it. I know it. This show never dropped my expectation. I really love this. Peak and Big W. Oh my. Excellent last season, I agree. Oh, that's sad. There's no big long comment. Best of the best character, especially Pointdexter and Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. Really pushed the greedy and corruption in Hell's Kitchen and is overall a profound mastery of a show. Yeah, if you say so. Daredevil Season 3 came back swinging a tad bit step up from Season 2 and return to form. I do agree there's a return to form. It's much more street based instead of like world ending threat, and I liked it. Still the best season of Marvel TV show and one of not if not the best comic book TV season ever made. I disagree. I strongly disagree. I think Stargirl did it better. But that's just me. Let's wait and see third season of Stargirl if it's better. Performances performance of all cast are great, including the new cast. Wilson Bedell as Bulleye is fantastic. I agree. Now, as of the writing, he says it's superb, but I think it's the writing of the character and not the story, because the story has a lot of issue with it. Now, even if you got good teams, the way you make things happen is also very important in the writing. This season also featured one of the best one-shot action sequence I have seen in a television series. Uh, it's hard to disagree with that statement. The action in the show is amazing. So, as you can see, most people are on board. They like this season a lot. I'm the only one that is really critical to the story itself. And it's funny because I just started getting critical into stuff. I think it's by seeing how other are critical that I changed as well. Anyway, let's go to a new segment I added up. Prediction.